All right, let's see how this. A little tight, but hey, it's okay. All right. I'm E.H. Howard, and welcome. This is Unscripted, which is kind of a new thing for me. I'm gonna try it out here for a while. You never know with me. You never know what I'm gonna say. So, hopefully I won't get canceled. I doubt it. I don't say anything that normally would get me canceled, so I don't see why I would start today. But yeah, we're going to try some of these little short, well, not sure, we'll see. Because if you're a follower of my content, you know that I like to ramble. But back to the point. Let's back to the point. This is a new sort of channel show thing I'm trying out where I'm just going to try and kind of speak from the cuff about things that are really kind of important to me, things that kind of came to mind throughout the day, and I was kind of like, this is something important I kind of want to make a video about, but I don't want it to feel like there's not really a script. It should really come from the passion of the heart, right? And today's is kind of, it's interesting because it's something I had been thinking about for a while, about in my own life, in my own world. And recently, a colleague of mine had started taking the next steps to moving on to a bigger career. They were going to move on to the next level, start to go to law school and do those types of things. And we were kind of chatting, and he was like, I don't know where I'm going to be in 10 years. I was like, really none of us do, right? None of us really know where we're going to be in 10 years. But what I can tell you is you will be where you need to be, all right? And that got me kind of going back and thinking about some things that I had been kind of mulling over for the past couple of weeks, past couple of months. And I think if you're a small, self-employed, small business, home business, entrepreneur, solopreneur, whatever you are, I'm sure you kind of struggle and think about these things sometimes as well. Now, when I was a kid, I remember one of my teachers asking me, what do you want to be when you grow up? Which is always the fucking stupidest question to ask, a second or third grader, right? Like, the fuck do they know, I just want to get to cookie time and nap time. I don't fucking care what I'm going to be doing in 30 years. And when I was in second or third grade, 30 seemed like ancient, like who lives to 30, right? Like that, I never thought I'd make it to 30, let alone almost double that. So, but I remember sitting down and telling them, and it's because I had seen this on television, all right? I've always been creative. I've always been drawing and painting and making artwork and being creative, and always very interested in commercial art over fine art. I was always very much a commercial artist as opposed to a fine artist. And the distinction of that is ending up, I didn't make art for art's sake. I made art for money. I'm a cheap motherfucker. So that's kind of where I came from. And I had seen on television lots of, because for some reason in the late 60s, early 70s, it seemed like every business, every television show, the dad always worked for an ad agency or an ad firm, or he was some sort of like creative person in the ad world and stuff. And I remember telling them I wanted to run an ad agency. I wanted to be a Madison Avenue, ad agency. I wanted to be like the tops. I wanted to be Darren Stevens. And a couple of weeks ago, and that's where this is leading to me. A couple of weeks ago, I was thinking, whatever happened to that kid? That kid had some really bright ideas. That kid really wanted to go places. What happened to him? How come I'm not the person that I thought I was? And the more I thought about it and the more I realized, or what I realized in that sort of process of thinking about it was, I'm exactly where I thought I would be. I am 150% exactly where I thought I would be. The difference is, it doesn't necessarily look like I thought it would be. My middle school, elementary school, high school person did not imagine the Batcave here. they imagined a fancy office overlooking Manhattan, I pictured Mad Men in my head when I was a kid, when I was growing up. Even though Mad Men didn't exist then, that's what I had in my head. However, looking around and thinking about it on a different level, really kind of going into a deeper understanding of what I was really saying when I was that kid. What was it I was really asking for? And literally everything that was the subtext of that, again, not the look, but the feeling, like everything that was underneath that is exactly where I am. I am running my own business. I have a house. I have a spouse. I have success. And I define success by paying my bills. I'm not looking to make millions of dollars. I'm not looking to be, doing the talk circuit and having, massive, I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do, which was help small businesses, self-employed people be a better business, to grow themselves, to have some support and understanding in what they're doing so that they can be better at what they do. And that's exactly where I am. Now, again, maybe the visuals don't look the same. Maybe this office is not at all what I maybe had. Well, I don't know. Maybe little me would have imagined all the toys. But at the same time, it is exactly what I imagined when I was a kid. I am doing work. I am living the life that I had always wanted to. It just looks differently. And if you're struggling, if you're thinking, every day I come in here and I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be. I feel like. Really think about the subtext. Like, okay, maybe it doesn't look like what you thought it would look like. Doesn't mean that it's wrong. Doesn't mean that it's incorrect. You probably are exactly where you need to be, where you had always imagined you'd be. I remember when I was in art school and I was doing animation and people were trying to push me to go to studios. Oh, you got to work for Disney. If you don't work for Disney, I didn't want to fucking work for Disney. I didn't like Disney. I wanted to work for Klasky Csupo. Klasky Csupo didn't want me, but I wanted to work for them. But that was what I always thought. I remember telling my teachers, I may do that for a year or two. I may work in industry for a while, but I really want to run my own studio. I really want to be my own boss. I want to do the work I want to do for the people that I want to do it for. And that's where I am. And it's probably the same thing for you. Think about it. Think about really what is underneath what you were thinking about when you were younger. Are you doing the work that you want to do? Are you, and maybe you had a change. There's a lot of things that have happened. I remember before and I kind of live life between post-pandemic and pre-pandemic, sort of like the crisis in DC. And pre-pandemic, I remember wanting to have or even back in the early 2000s when I first moved out here, I was going to have my own animation studio. I was going to hire people. I was going to make content. I was going to do all these crazy things. However, the market didn't allow me to do that. It was the internet bubble, the housing crash, all of these things. So again, I had to readjust what I wanted to do as the outcome, but ultimately it ended up being doing the work I wanted to do for the people that I wanted to do it for in the way that I wanted to do it and get paid. It's nice. I'm sorry, money is nice. I like money. There's nothing wrong with saying that, right? But I want you all to think about that because, there's probably the same thing with you, is that you may look at where you're at now and think this isn't what I imagined, but it isn't, but it is. And really kind of go deeper. Think about what it was that really motivated you to make this move. What is really the sort of the subtext of your business and your life and how that sort of is really manifesting itself, all right? And again, it may not look like what you imagined, and that's okay. All right, welcome back. I have this new thing I thought I'd try out too. I'm gonna call it Letters from a Fan. I have a fan, you may have a fan, who knows? We all have a fan, I guess, somewhere. My fan tends to typically be my husband, beyond that, but I actually have a fan, so, all right. So let's get to the letter from my fan. All right, Ethel P. Herkimer from Pacoima, she's a huge fan. She writes in and she says, my son Herkimer is struggling in his business. What advice would you give him? And, you know, I get that question a lot. I all the time, I'm saying, ew, can you give me some advice? Your business is a reflection. You are your business and the business is you, but you are not, all right? And one of the problems with small, self-employed home businesses is we tend to think of the business is us and we are the business. And yes, it is, all right? But I have my personal, professional person that I put on, and I have my private person, all right? We all have those two personalities. And so it can become really hard to sell your business because sometimes you feel like you're selling yourself, all right? And when I taught college, I always told my students whenever they wanted to start a business and they were gonna call it, you know, Betty Jean Designs. I was like, maybe not call it that. Call it something else, because what works for me, what got me really feeling comfortable about talking about myself and the business as myself, was creating a different name, which is why I created the design office, because it was easier for me to talk about the design office and what we did than what me as a person, as a designer, Betty Jean Designs, because then I feel like I'm talking about myself because I'm talking in the first person. I would always talk about the business in the third person. At the design office, we at the design office, et cetera, et cetera. And it got me comfortable about speaking about the business because it was a sort of switch in my head that the business was me, but I wasn't the business. Hopefully that makes some sense. Now, the other side of it is you need to be able to talk about yourself in ways that make sense. You need to connect with consumers in ways that make sense to them so that they understand it. And the great way to do that, a shameless plug here, is buy some content. I've got content up on the website where you can learn how to talk about yourself. You can get, free content, take a course, download a book, whatever you need, but you need to talk about the business in ways that make sense to the consumer and that feel like you can talk about the work in a genuine, real way without talking about yourself. So if the business is, if it's Herkimer Inc., it's going to take some work to get past that, but that's my advice on that. All right, so this has been the first Unscripted, so I don't think I said anything that I'm going to get canceled for, but who knows? Tune in next time, all right? Got to say some stuff so the sales department gets off my back. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow. Join my tribe, all right? Come over to my website, ehhoward.com. Hit join.ehhoward.com. Join the tribe. You get 25% off your initial purchase in the store, 10% thereafter, but there's access to free content, archived old video content, you name it, it's there. It is designed as a destination to help you be a better business. Everything I do, again, is about making someone feel like they can be better, that they are better, and giving them not just the empowerment and the excitement to do that, but the tools to make it happen, all right? So make sure you check that out. Visit ehhoward.com, join.ehhoward.com, or store.ehhoward.com. I can talk. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. I think that's about it. I said it's been a good one. I haven't said anything that got me canceled yet, so all right. I'll see you in the next video.